WHOW.
Top of the morning. Thanks for being with us. I'm your host today, Seth Lawrence. The WHOW Morning Show streams to Facebook and YouTube. Brought to you by Peterson Insurance, your Pekin Insurance agent in Clinton. My guest on the Zoom today is Taylor Baxter, City Administrator for the City of Farmer City. Good to see you, Taylor. How are you?
Hey, sorry can't be there in person, so you got me on Zoom, so thank you for being flexible.
All right, I've got a head cold going on, so probably best you not be here. I hate to,
All right, well,
pass this thing along. It's been brutal, but
please don't.
Yep. Glad you at least.
It's the weather, man.
I know it.
It's the weather.
I think
it's all over the place.
Yeah, I think you're right. But at any rate, I'm glad we could connect on Zoom here for today, and going to recap recent Farmer City business, city council, and those sorts of things. What's been going on with the city council lately, Taylor?
Yeah, a lot's been going on. We're really in a good time of year. For those that don't know, our budget for the city of Farmer City is May 1st to April 31st. So this first meeting in April is a very preliminary discussion with the budget. So staff and I have been working really hard on getting things tightened up, and this was our first budget presentation. So that was the last item on our agenda. So I'm sure we'll talk about that later. But just kind of recapping the agenda last night, we had a couple of bills that we got approved that were for some different, the different type of departments that we have. One of them being the wastewater department. We had a cleanup bill from EnviroServe. We had a pretty nasty chemical spill happen out at the wastewater treatment plant. One of our older tanks actually had a leak in it and it spilled some. So we had to have a professional come in. Luckily, things were not bad enough where, any fines or anything happened. So we're good. It was contained. Staff did a really good job. So that was a pretty big bill to have assistance from EnviroServe to help us with that. We also got approved a new truck for the electric department, and I hit on this before. Farmer City's unique in the fact that we actually own the electric utility. So with that, we need to have specialized equipment, and this truck that we purchased, the Ford F550, is a specialized truck specifically for electric uses. So it has the big bucket lift on it, that sort of thing. So that was a pretty big bill, $143,000 for a truck. So that's just not something I can approve by myself. We need council's approval with that. So we got that approved last night. Quickly, we're just running through our agenda. We had an updated right-of-way agreement with Premier Cooperative get approved. There was some language that they'd like to see changed there. So this is specifically for our Plum Street project, where we're going to be redoing the road from on Plum Street from Van Buren all the way to 150. So we received a grant from the state of Illinois for that for $750,000. But part of it, the state is requiring us to obtain right of way from Premier for a tiny little triangle. So there's just some things that we need to get kind of fixed on the back end with them. So
what does that mean? Get right away from them?
So they own a piece of property that is within. So we own the street, obviously, but there's a portion of their property where we're going to be basically repaving. So in order for this project to go through, the state of Illinois requires us as the city to have approval from Premier, the landowner, that says, hey, we're going to basically take this piece of property from you in order to do this project. So we're going to be responsible for it. Premier has to voluntarily give that to us. We can't force them to do it. If they said no, the project's dead. So we're working with them on kind of the back end things. And that's pretty standard with projects that are especially next to state routes too. So this isn't uncommon. It's just a formality type of thing.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
You anticipate before that?
Yes. And they've been very cooperative. Their leadership has been great to work with. We've had a lot of different conversations, and for them, they just want to make sure that they're kind of protecting themselves for the future. They have a great relationship with us, and they hope that will continue, which it will. So it's just some contractual language stuff that protects both sides. So makes sense.
Now we'll work on that begin this spring or summer.
Yeah, that's the goal. So as soon as I'm off the phone here, I'm gonna get that signed and scanned over to them, and hopefully for a signature, and we're gonna get it sent over to IDOT for approval.
Okay, gotcha.
So the goal is to be done by fall. Now it's going to be delayed a little bit just with some of the back and forth we've had, but the goal is to continue to have that done by this year.
And remind us what's going on there.
Yeah, so this is a completely we are redoing Plum Street from 150 all the way to Van Buren. And this is a heavily used road, specifically with trucks too. So that's part of the reason why we wanted to target this one, is because it needs work. And we also have an abandoned railroad there too, where that's going to be removed as part of this process. So it's kind of hitting a lot of different points for us. And this was a project that was high priority with the council for a number of years now. And we're just at that point now where we're able to move forward with it. So
Got it.
again, we applied for the grant from the state of Illinois, and we received that. So this is going to be basically a free project for us, which is huge.
That's what you like. Yeah, you want those.
Yeah.
You want those. State dollars to always assist with stuff like this, and anytime you can take advantage of that, you certainly have to. So very nice.
Right.
Will that take the entirety of the
Yeah.
summer then? I mean, that sounds pretty expansive, to be honest with you.
It's going to be a big project. So I don't know specifically how long it's going to take. There's a lot of variables with that, but yeah, that corner is going to be shut down for a while. And depending on where they're beginning and that sort of thing, it's going to be interesting to see how our engineers and our whoever's got the project bid, whoever's going to get that, how they maneuver that, because you want to try to accommodate local businesses, and Premier Cooperative is one for us, and we want to make sure that they aren't interrupted by this the best that we can.
Yeah,
So
sure. Definitely. Very good. Very good. Well, on that note, Taylor Baxter, city administrator for the city of Farmer City. I want to revisit the EPA issue you all had. Can you tell me more about that? What was going on there?
sure. Yeah, we have inside of our wastewater treatment plant, and many plants have this. This isn't new to Farmer City. We had a leak in one of our tanks, and it was hydrochloric acid, and this helps treat the material that comes into the plant, and then we release that back out into the creek. Again, this is not just a Farmer City thing. This is every plant does this to treat the waste that comes in. So we ended up having an issue where one of our tanks that had this chemical in it actually leaked within the plant, and staff was on it right away, and we had all hands on deck to try to figure out, okay, what are we going to do with this?
Mhm.
And it came to the point where, okay, this is going to be a bigger job just for the safety side of it. Whenever you're dealing with these harsh chemicals, you want to make sure that staff is being careful and adequate in handling this. So we ended up contracting this out to EnviroServe, and they're out of, I think, Springfield, I think is what the bill said. I forget exactly where they're at. But this is what they do. They help with hazardous conditions, and the EPA came out whenever you have a spill or an accident. They come out and they're very thorough, and we had staff out there with them, and we, fingers crossed, we have not heard anything from them. They were very pleased with how staff handled this. We were up front, and here's what happened. Here's the issues that we have. This is what we're doing to fix this, to make sure that this doesn't happen again. So all in all, it could have been a lot worse. We're very thankful that staff saw this, and we had the right company to help us keep it contained. So
All right. Very
all
good.
in all, could have been a disaster, but it really wasn't. It was a good thing.
Yeah,
So
definitely.
yeah.
Definitely. And you got to appreciate those folks that are on the ball and care about, the work they do to catch those things, right? I mean, yeah.
Yeah, staff, I can't give them enough credit, because there's moments where it feels like they're running around doing all these different things, and if they've just done a great job of working with what they have, and doing it to the best of their ability. So I'm very thankful for staff that we have here.
Definitely.
For sure.
Sure. Very nice. Very nice. Well, I'll tell you, Taylor, anything else out of council meetings recently that's worth talking about here in our final few minutes in this first segment?
Yeah. So one other thing that I we touched on last night is being the utility for water, sewer, and electric. Obviously, we're in charge of the utility bills here within Farmer City, and we had a pretty large bill at 702 Arbor Place, and that's called the Lockmiller Apartments. And they had a massive bill. They had a massive leak where they used almost 1 million gallons of water in a month, and is the highest bill that I've ever seen here in Farmer City.
Wow.
And when this happens, on a smaller basis where we're able to work with residents and say, hey, we'll work on the sewer portion of this because it didn't really impact our sewer plant. It's still treated water, so we still have to recover our costs for that.
Uh-huh.
But maybe we can help and work on the sewer portion. But this was such a big bill, Seth, that it was more than I felt comfortable just chopping off without council's consideration. So we had a good conversation about that, and we agreed that this is kind of the route that we were going to go, is to help them on the sewer portion of it. And I mean, it was thousands of dollars.
Oh yeah.
Without throwing their bill all over the internet right now. It was a massive bill.
Sure.
And council, I'm very thankful for their decision last night and giving some direction on that. So other than that, we just had the budget that we talked about, which I'm sure we can talk about later too.
Yeah, I'll tell you what, let's take a break and we'll come back and talk budget maybe a little bit. Is that all right?
Yeah, sounds good.
Very good. How do folks follow all things Farmer City, Taylor, learn more about what's going on in town?
Yeah, our website is cityoffarmercity.org, and then you can also, we have a Facebook page, City of Farmer City. So
very good. Taylor Baxter, City Administrator for the City of Farmer City, our guest on the Zoom, I should say, here this morning. More to come with Taylor on the WHOW Morning Show.
WHOW.
Let's check the opening numbers now at the Chicago Board of Trade on this Tuesday. Jim Taylor, RFD Radio Network. A steady start with corn, beans, and Chicago wheat. May corn opening 452 1/4, down 1 3/4. July corn down 1 3/4, 463 1/2, and December new crop down 1 1/4, 481 3/4. May beans opening 1168 1/2, up 1 3/4. July beans up 1 1/4, 1184 1/2. And November new crop 1157 1/2, up 1/2 penny. May Chicago wheat 597 1/4, up 2. May KC wheat 608 3/4, up 1/2 penny. May bean meal 317 even, up 40 cents. May bean oil 70.03, up 8 cents. Energy market June Brent crude oil up 49 cents, 110.26. Opening numbers on this Tuesday morning. I'm Jim Taylor, and this is the RFD Radio Network.
Baum Chevrolet Buick offers full transportation options while giving you peace of mind. This is Scott Baum from Baum Chevrolet Buick here in Clinton. This is what we do every day. We listen to you, give you options for routine maintenance, major mechanical problems, or collision repairs with a staff that's knowledgeable to find the best option for you. Baum Chevrolet Buick, your full-service dealer. See us at baumchevybuick.com right from the start.
Here's Matt Hart, owner of the Hart Media Group in Clinton, talking about continuing to serve the community through new ownership.
Things came together and we reached an agreement to purchase. And as you mentioned, we closed August the 1st. So that's August the 1st. Miller Media Group is now Hart Media Group. And we're continuing to serve the people of Clinton and DeWitt County and Monticello and Bloomington and Decatur and everywhere, because we'll just keep connecting people as we've been doing.
The Hart Media Group looks forward to continuing to serve the community for years to come.
Your friend in Central Illinois, WHOW.
Once again, good morning. Thanks for being with us. I'm your host today, Seth Lawrence. The WHOW Morning Show streams to Facebook and YouTube. Brought to you by Peterson Insurance, your Pekin Insurance agent in Clinton. My guest on the Zoom today, Taylor Baxter, City Administrator for the City of Farmer City. Taylor, let's talk a little bit about that city budget. How are things looking in the budget for the upcoming year?
Really good, Seth. So last night, and this is what I do, and a lot of cities do this too. You kind of, as budget time approaches, you look at where we're currently at, what are some of the proposed things in next year's budget, but then also, okay, here are some key highlight things that we should consider and really hone in on some specifics. So Some of it was pretty broad, but then some of it we really narrowed some things down. So as we looked at this year, there was a lot of significant infrastructure that we completed as far as investments go, and whether it's between water, wastewater, streets, those projects continue to happen, and they're going to kind of spill into next year's budget too. So went through that a little bit. We talked about some staffing and just some different pressures that are on the budget. So what I did for the council last night is I kind of went through our top 10 revenues, but then also our top 10 expenses. And we went through some the different taxes and what they mean. So the property tax, municipal sales tax, the state income tax, all these different taxes, which we all hate, but they support cities. I mean, this is where our budget comes from. So some of them are state controlled, so meaning they're based just off of our population, and some of them are more specific to Farmer City. So like our sales tax or the municipal sales tax, which we were able to pass as a city because of the new rules and regulations the state had. We were able to pass a 1% sales tax. So that's a new thing that we kind of talk through, excuse me. Some of our expenses we went through, just the different salaries, wages, electric generation, some different infrastructure projects that we have tied to specifically. Some health insurance things are not always fun to talk about, but they really do have an impact on the budget. And whether they're fun to talk about or not, it's reality. And those things are only increasing across the board. So we need to be mindful of those things. So touched on that a little bit. Then, like I said, we kind of went through some different charts and just the graphs just describing, hey, this is where the trend has been for the last 5 years. And you kind of, with revenues, you never know truly what you're going to get. You can only estimate the best that you can. So you try to estimate for this past year, because we're still not done with our budget, but you can look at the trends from previous years and say, hey, this is what we think we're going to get. And okay, forecasting it out another 12 months, you do the best that you can. So you try to be high on your expenses and then kind of undershoot on the revenues just to be cautious and conservative. But you truly never know. So what I told him last night is overall, the city is in a financially stable spot. And we have steady revenue growth across key sources. And what we need to be mindful of is as we're growing, which we do have a lot of really good development happening, we have to be strategic on how we do that. So we talked through some of those things, just the different projects, like I said, that we have going on. I'll go quickly. Here's the projects that we have currently going on. Route 54 sidewalk project, Safe Route to School sidewalk project, Plum 150 street project, Washington Street water and wastewater projects, the I-74 projects. We have water system improvements at the plant and out in the streets. We have a wastewater system improvements that are going on at the plant and out in the street as well. I mean, that's just a handful, and there's more that we could touch on that we're not even really hitting on. Those are kind of the big ones right now.
Yeah. More to come then on those?
What's that?
Is there more to come with those then?
Yeah, everything. And as I've talked to people, it feels like everything is kind of just like bubbling right now under the surface. Like everything is this close to getting started. Like even right now at I-74, there's an excavator sitting out there and they just can't do it because the weather and it's wet out there. The ground is not suitable for them to begin at the moment, but it's there. Earth is going to be moving soon. Street projects are going to be done soon. So that's one of the things that we talked about is just kind of this overlay where we had this in the budget last year. It's going to move into this year. So how do we kind of coordinate between those and make sure that we have the funding available for all these different things? So,
yeah, right. You got to have a bunch of buckets for all that stuff,
It's a puzzle, Seth, and you try to do the best you can, and there's going to be unexpected delays. There's going to be unexpected cost that comes up, and you try to account for it, but you don't really know. So just trying to be proactive with that. And quickly, we talked a lot about TIF and downtown economic development, the different strategies that we can use to try to really improve our TIF districts and make this a really cool place. And one of the things that we talked about last night too was just our community trend. This is no secret. Our population is not increasing since the last census. And so we need to remain competitive because there are places around us that are gathering folks and people are moving to. And again, controlling what we can control to do that the best that we can. A lot of that goes into planning and being strategic with it. So one of the things we talked about was City Hall. And I know that's a thing in Clinton that has been ongoing and certainly here in Farmer City too. Our City Hall is not adequate with the space that we need, but also just the safety of it. If you look at the back end of our building, it is literally falling apart, and I'm not exaggerating. So we need to really figure out, and council kind of gave the consensus that we need to get an engineering and architects in here to figure out how bad this is, because then we can make a decision on the direction that we need to go. This is a historical building in Farmer City, and there's a lot of memories here. So we certainly want to be cognizant of that, but also we need to be realistic. And okay, if this is going to cost $4 million to fix, is that the wisest use of city funds to do that?
Yeah, sure.
So
well,
we're in those beginning stages in talking through that.
Yeah,
So
very good. A lot going on your plate these days, Taylor. I hate to do this to you, though. I got to cut us off for the day. Best way for folks to follow
okay.
along with all things Farmer City.
Yeah, cityoffarmercity.org, and then our Facebook page, like I mentioned before. Those two things can usually get us the information that you need.
Very good. Taylor Baxter, City Administrator, City of Farmer City, our guest on the Zoom. Network News on the way.